The clinking of dishes and the soft hum of conversation filled the air at the Oakstone Diner, one of the most popular restaurants in town. It was a Saturday evening rush, families chatting over dinner, couples laughing softly, and the smell of sizzling steak in the air. But amid all the cheerful noise stood Emily, a young waitress with tired eyes and a kind smile, moving gracefully from table to table, balancing plates and patience. Emily had been working double shifts all week. Her husband, Daniel, had recently launched a new branch of the diner, and they were short-staffed. She didn't mind. She believed in hard work, in kindness, and in never letting the world see you fall apart, lessons life had taught her after years of struggling to make ends meet. But that night, 3 young men entered the restaurant: Ryan, Chad, and Luke. They were loud, arrogant, and already a bit drunk. They chose a corner booth and started making a scene as soon as they sat down. Emily approached with her usual politeness, holding her notepad and smiling warmly. "Good evening. What can I get for you tonight?" Ryan leaned back in his chair and smirked. "Well, sweetheart, you can start by smiling a little more. You'd look less miserable." His friends laughed. Chad added, "Yeah, maybe if you weren't just a waitress, you'd have more to smile about." Emily's heart clenched, but she kept her composure. "I'll be right back with your drinks," she said softly, turning away before they could see the flicker of hurt in her eyes. As she walked back to the counter, Martha, the older hostess, noticed her expression. "Don't let them get to you, sweetheart," Martha whispered. "Some people never outgrow their need to tear others down." Emily nodded weakly. She'd learned to brush off rude customers, but sometimes, their cruelty cut deeper than she liked to admit. When she returned with their drinks, the bullies continued their mockery. They made fun of her, cheap shoes, whispered comments about how pathetic it was for a woman to be stuck waiting tables, and even pretended to trip her when she walked by. The other customers began to notice. Whispers spread through the restaurant, but no one intervened. No one ever did. After an hour of enduring their taunts, Emily tried to remain professional as she brought out their food. But as she reached over to set down a plate, Luke deliberately, accidentally, bumped the edge of the table, causing the hot soup bowl to spill slightly. Ryan stood up, feigning outrage. "What's wrong with you? Are you blind? You could have burned me." The whole restaurant went silent. Emily's face flushed red, her hands trembled. I'm so sorry, sir. Let me get you another one." Ryan interrupted, his voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "No wonder you're stuck here serving people. Maybe if you worked harder, you'd have a real job." His friends laughed again, but this time, a deep voice spoke from behind them. "That's enough." The bullies turned around. Standing there, calm but clearly furious, was Daniel, dressed in a black shirt and slacks. His tone was even, but his eyes burned. "Who the hell are you?" Ryan sneered. "The manager." Daniel stepped closer. "No, I'm the owner." A murmur rippled through the diners. The bullies' smug expressions faltered. Daniel crossed his arms, his voice steady but filled with quiet anger. "You've been harassing my wife for the past hour. You mocked her, disrespected her, and tried to humiliate her in front of everyone. I don't care who you are, but in my restaurant, you treat my staff with respect. Especially her." The 3 men froze, the weight of their mistake sinking in. Ryan's face turned pale. Your wife," he stammered. Daniel nodded. "Yes, Emily isn't just my wife, she's the heart of this place. She helped me build this restaurant from nothing. Every brick, every table, every smile from our customers, she's behind it all." The room was silent. Every eye was on them. Daniel continued, "You think being a waitress is something to laugh at? She works harder in one night than you've probably worked in your entire lives. You think serving others is shameful? It takes strength, patience, and humility, qualities you clearly lack." The bullies lowered their heads, the laughter gone from their eyes. Emily stood still, stunned. She hadn't expected Daniel to come in that night. He was supposed to be managing the new branch, but seeing him stand up for her filled her chest with warmth and tears she couldn't stop. Daniel turned to Emily gently. "You okay?" he asked softly. She nodded, unable to speak. Then he turned back to the bullies. "Get out, and don't come back." They stumbled out silently, their arrogance replaced with shame. The door closed behind them, and the room broke into quiet applause. Martha wiped her eyes. About time someone taught those boys a lesson. Emily finally allowed herself to breathe. Daniel wrapped his arm around her and whispered, "You never have to face them, or anyone like that, alone again." Later that night, after closing, Emily sat with Daniel at one of the corner tables. The lights were dim, the chairs stacked, and the smell of coffee lingered. She looked at him with a faint smile. "I didn't want to make a scene," she said softly. "It's just part of the job sometimes." Daniel shook his head. "No, you deserve respect, Em. Everyone does. You shouldn't have to stay silent just to keep the peace." She looked down at her hands. "I just didn't want people to see me as weak." He reached over and lifted her chin. "You're the strongest person I know. And don't ever forget, being kind doesn't make you weak. It makes you extraordinary." Tears welled in her eyes again, but this time, they weren't from pain. They were from pride. From that night on, something shifted in Emily. She carried herself with new confidence, no longer shrinking under cruel words or condescending smiles. The story spread around town, how a few arrogant men learned a hard lesson about respect and humility. And when people came into the Oakstone diner afterward, they saw not just a waitress serving food, but a woman whose quiet grace and strength held the entire place together. Because sometimes, the people you look down on are the ones who built the very table you're sitting at.